All right, let's go.
Do you need water?
No, we have water.
And what about you?
I mean, special product.
How do you like it?
Well, you know, it's better than I expected.
Yeah,
No herring under a fur coat.
yeah, it's terrible, just awful. So now, all right, let's go, my beloved ones. My eldest daughter, Alexandra, and I recorded another video for you about relationships between women and men, because this is the most pressing question today for young women. How to choose a life partner, what to focus on, what the main criteria are, and so on, my friends. Here we are having a drink. Today I created an interesting cocktail. Check out our glasses. And here we have peaches. Next, peach compote and one secret ingredient, which we might tell you about later. So what values should a couple share for a strong marriage? So what are the main things, the points of connection and common ground, things like that, in that context? What do you think?
Well, you know, I watched your video with Galia about this, and you two were discussing it. I completely agree with you that strong relationships should be based on friendship, first and foremost, meaning you should be united by some common interests. Yes, you always say that alcoholics have the strongest marriages
100%.
because they sit together and they have this shared, genuine interest in that one thing, And you should be united either by a love for art or a love for an idea, or a love for running, and you run 10 kilometers together every day. So there should be something in common, a really strong shared interest and a strong friendship on which a long, successful marriage can be built.
A union, right? I see. So what do you think by the way, can you call our marriage strong?
Yes.
Why did you decide that our marriage with Nikolai, with your father, is strong? What made you think that?
Well, first of all, you share a common interest, and that interest is that you both love you.
That's true.
You love yourself very much, and in this world, he loves nothing more than you.
Yes?
He supports everything you're interested in and want to do, while also motivating you to do even more. You're quite a lazy person. You'd happily relax on the couch watching movies, but he insists you get up and go to museums, excursions, and ski trips you wouldn't otherwise choose. You end up having fun in the end. I mean, he finds your strongest qualities, finds ways to motivate you, and you end up having a partnership that revolves around you.
Narcissism all around?
Narcissism.
That's true. Okay, next question. Do you agree, Kisulechki? Be sure to write in the comments right away if you agree with the opinion of Alexandra, my eldest daughter. Okay? And what is more important to you, a man's character or his resources?
For me personally, or
For you personally?
for me, it's character.
And then say it for women.
For me personally, character.
Uh-huh.
Because you can acquire resources, but you can't change character with resources. But I think it's all very individual. Because I know many women who chose resources and they're happy with it. But I also know many women who chose resources and they constantly complain that they have a very unhappy marriage, that no one pays attention to them, they're alone in that house, no one talks to them, they live by those rules and they don't like it. So you need to understand from the start what's more important to you. Is it spending time together, having good shared hobbies, shared interests, or is it more important for you to have good financial capital?
And if you remember, by the way, we covered the topic of the 5 love languages in my group, actually. You were also actively participating in that group. The link to my group will be in the description below, and you can always join. There's a lot that has been collected there over the year.
2 years.
It's already the 2nd year, yes, the group has been going on, and there are a lot of useful videos collected there. It's a whole video library, a huge amount of materials. And not so long ago, we had the topic, the 5 love languages there, where we discussed this subject. I completely agree with you. Write in the comments, my dears. Do you agree with Alexandra's opinion? Let's continue. Next question. What red flags in a man's character should you pay attention to right away before even getting into anything serious? You definitely understand. Oh, no.
You know, there's this concept in English, I'm not sure if it's translated the same way, it's called love bombing. When love means love and bombing means attack, right? So you're being attacked with love from the very, very beginning. And I don't know if you'll agree with this or not. It's a new concept when from the very first day they start praising you, saying things like, you will be my wife, all those flowers right from the very, very first day. And then after a few weeks, it turns out that the person is actually very deceitful and is trying to manipulate you or set you up.
Yes, I understand. I'll continue now. You can go ahead and drink the cocktail I made. And now I'll add to what Alexandra said. She is most likely referring to this psychopathic type. These are extremely charming people, and at the same time, not just psychopaths actually, in general, right? Classic psychopath fits here too. So, these psychopaths are probably better at courting beautifully, speaking beautifully. Eventually, they may start rushing things. Give me a son, let's get married quickly, this is wonderful, let's ride this wave, we're on the same page, everything will work out, we'll live well, I love only you, I've waited only for you, my love, everything at your feet. Some generous gifts, and in fact, in this impulse, he is truly sincere. I can't say that he's pretending or being deceitful, but it really characterizes him as someone who sometimes can't predict or control his emotions at certain moments. And later, after some time, it will become clear that he has shown this impulsiveness in many areas, actually.
Both positive and negative?
Both positive and negative. And then you might face a situation where neglect starts. Manipulation, like he might stop talking to you. He can constantly make you feel guilty. So these are dangerous manipulators, and that's exactly who you're talking about first and foremost. And besides physical violence, yes, there can also be a whole list of psychological abuse against you. And we know a lot of such psychopaths, by the way. I'm not even talking about extreme cases where a person goes as far as killing his wife. But in the beginning, if she starts talking about him, according to memories, even her friends give, for example, some testimony. They conduct an investigative experiment, right? I just remembered this very high-profile, terrible case in Kazakhstan. The man, Beshenbayev there, he had a very beautiful woman, remember?
Yes, I remember.
He killed her in the restaurant, just like that. But at first...
There were all the flowers, everything.
Absolutely, there were gifts, gold, it was all wonderful, but somehow it was sudden, extremely so.
Well, when I hear from my friends on the very first day, they call me, no, I met someone, I'm head over heels in love, I know this will be my husband, I know for sure that in a month it's going to be insanely problematic. I mean, when you have those feelings right away, he did this for me and that. It always ends sadly.
Notice, we didn't plan this, and yet we're sitting here in similar plush outfits, right?
Well, that's just how we are.
It's always like this with us. Sometimes we call each other and we are wearing the same clothes.
My mom always tells me, well, I call her. We talk on the phone. What, once a week? We FaceTime, but we talk for 2 hours every time we call each other, and we don't plan it. But as soon as I call her, she says, I knew it. I felt that you were going to call me in 10 seconds. You'd call.
That's right. Okay. Next question. What do you think, Sasha? What green flags will you pay attention to? What tells you that this person is reliable, that they're worth considering?
You know, I think it's balance. I mean, balance in their work life and in their personal life. When you look at someone, it doesn't matter how old they are, 20, 30, 40, or where they are in their career or how they got there. They don't necessarily have to be financially where you would want to see them, but are they moving in the right direction? What is their relationship with their family like? If relationships are bad, is it his fault or not? Does he still live with his mom? Why does he live with his mom? He shouldn't be living with his mom, but he should have a good relationship with her, give her flowers, visit her, but not have this kind of problem.
Okay, and what if the man has a background, meaning a huge number of wives, women, and some children?
That's a red flag. Why do you need it?
That's a red flag. And why don't you need that?
Because I don't need that. If you don't mind having 3 kids who aren't yours running around, some crazy baby mamas who are constantly calling and want money from your husband coming into your kitchen, that's your personal business. But for me, I'm not that kind of person.
You won't even allow that impulse.
No, I'm not as self-absorbed as you, but I'm still very self-absorbed. The attention has to be on me. If the attention is on some other people's kids and some other wives who keep showing up in the picture, I won't be able to handle it. But there are women who are okay with that.
He says, I'm taking my kids to Holland.
Well,
And you're like, yeah, you're pregnant, but you just stay home.
no, it's...
Does this not suit you?
But again, this is about financial status maybe, right? Is finance more important to you or character? If finances matter more to you, you'll pick a man with 3 children who leaves you a nice house and money, but he'll move to Holland with his kids. And you pregnant by Timadi stay at home.
That's a good example. You're pregnant by Timadi and at home.
At least finances are good.
Is our microphone working? I think it is. Yes, it's working.
She spat in her viewer's ear.
In the ear. Okay, by the way, I share this point of view. Write to us, my dears. How do you feel about it? How much do you actually... Can you imagine a man with a background like that when he has a crazy number of kids and wives? There are endless child support payments. He meets them, goes places with them without you, and they visit you. It's this constant thing. He has some kind of monthly income, and it always has to be divided. One child, another child. One wife asks, the second wife asks. I've had a huge number of female clients on this topic, and it's such a burning jealousy, resentment, something like that, like an inner toad that doesn't let you enjoy life at all.
Yes, but you need to understand from the start that this will happen.
But that's not always clear. They don't jump into your reality right away. At first they say, listen, let's go to a concert, to the movies, let's go together, let's travel to Venice, let's ride boats, let me buy you this, give you gifts, and so on. And then suddenly it turns out, well, you kind of knew he had a bunch of women, a bunch of kids, but you didn't really understand the side effects, how it would look in the end, right? Well, I mean, you haven't experienced that horror yourself.
Well, you have to understand that if someone already has children and a past, you'll always be in the background.
Can you even say that there are women, or maybe even men, who can outshine everything with their presence? That he'll forget about his previous children, about his ex-wives?
Temporarily, yes.
By the way, I remember my sugar daddy. When he left for another woman, well, first he was put in prison, then sent to another city, to Yaroslavl, and there he found himself another woman. And that didn't stop him from having relationships, by the way. I just remembered.
Well,
he happily had another little daughter and raised her until she was 12, until he fell in love with another woman. He'd forget about these children as easily as saying hello. I'm telling you this, statistically, if you look at the numbers, the percentage, remind me in the comments, what percentage of people here avoid paying child support? These are the ones dodging child support. So do we even need those kinds of jerks?
no, of course not.
So he'll do the same thing to your children, right?
That's why, absolutely. So if you choose a person like that, then choose someone, at least financially, who can support you.
But the funniest thing is...
If you live with that, then...
No, wait, I have the funny story. I had girls just like that. And they had it rough, let me tell you. They married old American geezers who also had 300 kids and 300 wives. And they were freaking out because he gave everything away to everyone, wrote it all off. Some little bastard of his, like a 30-year-old, drives around in the latest Ferrari, and this one drives and that one drives too. This one has a house, that one has a house, this one has a gold watch, and mine has nothing. I live with an old goat, smelling his stinky gray balls. Ugh, and I got nothing out of it.
But everything looks beautiful on Instagram. Regarding your group's topic, you were discussing comparison.
Yes.
How to compare yourself to others.
The group link is in the description below.
And when we look at Instagram, any social media of these girls, it all looks so beautiful. And you want that same American dream with some old guy in a house like that.
With an old guy.
With Birkins, with a Ferrari.
Yes.
Nothing is hers. The Birkin and Ferrari belong to his ex-wife, who left them and will reclaim them soon.
Yes, yes. And why? Because he feels guilty towards those children and wives. But here he lives in it himself. Everything is fine for him. He feels good.
And he will never feel guilty towards his young wife because he took her as an escort service from the very beginning.
Yes?
He feels guilty toward his wife.
Yes.
We loved each other. We went through everything together.
Yes.
We have a history, but suddenly I became an old pervert wanting someone younger. He has someone young, but he doesn't care about her.
He doesn't care. He absolutely doesn't care. And she's like, he'll die any day now. He's old, but if he dies, I won't get anything. He tells her to calm down and succeeds.
I always remember the movie with Meryl Streep and Alec Baldwin. Remember, they were married and he left her, found himself a young wife, and the young wife decided to have kids. Through this in vitro fertilization, and these kids, and his Meryl Streep, his ex-wife, she lives in the house, has fun, is retired, everything is wonderful, and he's like, why did I do this? Why do I need these diapers? Why do I have to go to the sperm bank to fill up this little jar? It's not great, you know, and so he had a lot of regrets about it. So old men, don't leave your wives.
Yeah, think about it 150 times. And you were telling me yesterday, now, Sasha and I were just watching a movie where the lead was played by that actress who recently passed away.
Diane Keaton.
Diane Keaton was dumped by Al Pacino ally. He deeply regretted it.
At her funeral, he said that he shouldn't have broken up with Diane Keaton 40 years ago.
I didn't even know they lived together, by the way.
They starred in a movie together 40 years ago, and he loved her his whole life. But he couldn't, unlike his best friend Robert De Niro. They're all with much younger women. They have like 10 kids each with 20-year-old Latinas. They're running around over there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, what do you think is the reason for that? Why do old guys, it's like they still can't settle down? Their little thing is already at 5:30. They want to sleep all the time and they're tired, right? And they look, well, kind of peculiar. So what is it? Why do they have this urge to stick their limp little thing to a young girl's butt?
You know, young girls admire them much more. I think it's not even so much from a sexual point of view, but more like I know some of my acquaintances who are around 25 years old. And if you see them with perdon, you're like, A girl his own age won't treat him like that. She'll look at him as just a regular, equal person. But they want to be admired.
I see.
Al Pacino was admired 40 years ago, and he still wants these young girls to admire him now.
Okay, so if some old fart comes up to you with his saggy balls, are you going to interact with him in any way? Or will you just say, oh, grandpa, that's enough?
On a personal level, no.
So do you find him unpleasant somehow? Does his breath smell like poop or something?
I instantly recall a Sex and the City episode, how, like Samantha said, I'll turn off the lights, it won't be so bad. But then she turned the lights on, and his pale butt went to the bathroom.
That's true. Who remembers that moment?
Well, I want to tell you that I really love old folks. You know that about me. The fact is, I'm always talking to grandpas and grandmas. I'm really interested in their stories. I could listen to them all day long. Actually, I even want to. I had this idea to volunteer at a retirement home once a week and throw some kind of wine party with them so they wouldn't be bored there.
By the way, when they get tipsy, especially the patients with dementia, I swear to you, it's like they suddenly become clear-headed. And suddenly you hear some reasonable thoughts, like a normal conversation is happening with a guy who just a moment ago completely forgot his own name. You literally pour him a couple of drops, and suddenly there's this kind of awakening, and you think, oh my God, well, it's not for nothing. By the way, drugs are very dangerous, harmful, all that. But over there, they do get them high.
Yes.
They get them high.
Well, at this stage of life, it's already kind of...
It doesn't really matter anymore. They get them high.
Have fun.
Have fun, Ravanina. Okay, fine, let's do it this way. How can you tell if a man is ready for a serious relationship and not just spending time with you because it's convenient?
You know, I think if he's ready, you won't even be asking yourself this question. You'll just know it clearly and understand. He'll only be waiting for you. Tell me, when are you ready for marriage? When are you ready for kids? When are you...
By the way, what's the right timing? We were just talking about psychopaths who propose this to you way too quickly. At the same time, you need to figure out when it's actually appropriate. A year?
A declaration of love?
Yes, yes, yes. Here's a year in there.
a proposal. I think a year is a reasonable number, but again, I'm someone who believes that a proposal shouldn't be such a surprise. Getting married is a piece of paper that means a lot legally, right? And it should be a discussion. The proposal itself should be a surprise, but the fact that you're ready to create this union together shouldn't be like, "Oh, wow, I didn't mean at all that we would have something like this." It should be a mutual decision between the two of you. But if after a year he's not ready for this decision, then I don't think he'll ever be ready. I think a man knows. A man knows right away and understands if you're wife material for him or if you're just having a good time together.
By the way, do you agree that men love rich daughters, that you're from a good family, maybe not even a rich one, but just from a good family? Girls go out of their way to show off. I'm rich, I'm successful, marry me. Huh?
Yes, well, absolutely. Because you look at a woman as the potential mother of your children. You want the mother of your children to be educated so she can teach them things too, so she's not a foolish woman, so she has skills in music, in art, and she can cook. Her parents and grandparents, who they'll spend much time with in the future, so that they are also adequate, normal people, well off with a nice apartment. You understand? You don't want to send your future children to the ghetto, do you? Well, that's why a man looks at this picture.
Well, like, what the heck? There's just a girl who came from some little village, lives in a dorm, studies. Well, it doesn't matter. In college, she doesn't have any money for anything at all. Not for makeup, not for clothes, nothing. She's a bit pimply because all she has is a Snickers bar that she buys somewhere along the way. And why don't you notice that girl? Why do you have to go for someone like that?
Well, it's for the same reason that we women are just as selfish.
Wait, for us it's clearly genetically determined, and actually it's completely normal for women, right? To be attracted to a strong male, it's natural. We choose someone who can guarantee you offspring, right? Who can provide for that offspring. You won't lack anything. It's kind of biologically determined. And in the case of a man, ideally, he should be guided by your thick hair, your good skin, your scent, yes, your beauty, and not by your wallet. Do you understand? But what happens today with our fellows who focus on your wallet?
Well, you know, I think it's not just at the moment.
You've experienced different financial periods in your life, haven't you?
Yes.
Do you see any correlation between your financial status and the attention you get from men?
Yes and no, because when I was in a different financial situation, the places where I was and where I spent my time were a completely different category than where I spend my time now. I agree. You see, I
agree.
I used to sit in McDonald's, but of course the people who were in McDonald's also paid attention to me. Now I sit in restaurants where the clientele and their income level are much higher than before.
But, you know,
I wasn't among...
Yes, I get you. We're just talking about different things. What you experienced in America was like that, but in Russia, girls really go all out. But to end up in those clubs, in restaurants and places where so-called rich sugar daddies are. But these rich sugar daddies can sense that this girl came by subway, her bag is fake and everything like that, and she lives with her alcoholic mom, you know? And they will single out,
of course,
some crooked, slanted woman who is definitely someone's daughter there.
She rides horses and so on.
And so on, yes, yes, yes.
But his parents instilled this in him from birth. He knows who he will bring home. He knows that when they go skiing with the family, she should know how to ski. When we go horseback riding with the family, she should know how to ride horses. She should know how to hold a fork right.
So, is that much more important?
Yes, but I still think it's possible. You can teach yourself these things. You can somehow stand out, but it will be much, much harder for you. You always say the world is unfair. That's all.
But by the way, I want to say that this attraction to rich girls, it just went on from generation to generation. Take any historical movie, any historical book, and you'll see it. That this poor girl without a dowry, she's not needed by many people. Why? By the way, again, in my group, we often bring up the topic of pickup techniques, and we discuss this moment, you shouldn't be afraid of this. You shouldn't be embarrassed by it. For example, present yourself as the person you might not be financially right now. And I want to buy this bag. I want to buy all these rings, even if they're fake, just to make that impression. To buy 354 Birkin bags, even though, yes, it's a fake. But I clearly understand that I need to win the competition in this market. Because I'm already in my late 30s, my eggs are running out.
Sometimes I don't know if she's talking about the general public or if it's directed at me. Last time we filmed together, you called me a 25-year-old old hag.
And I told you, let's freeze our eggs already. Why aren't you freezing your eggs? What the hell? I'm always telling you, freeze your eggs.
She suggested storing them in Mexico. I told her they'd get stolen.
And then she's afraid that if we leave her eggs in Mexico, well, it's unclear what will happen to them next.
People have a special profession.
They'll be selling blue-eyed girls for $1 million, right? And what if they tell you, Sashenka, only 3 eggs and there were 9, let's say?
So in the end, 20 years later, I get a call, from one of those DNA websites. Your daughter has been found. I know, my doctor had 100 children found.
Well, that's just unbelievable.
He donated his sperm just for educational, scientific research when he was studying at medical university in med school. And then they started calling him, 30 years later, a bunch of kids. It turned out he had about 120 children. His med school sold his sperm all over the country. Is that possible?
Well, it's simple. It's very sad and it's terrible. But since we've mentioned this aspect of childbirth, I still think that if you haven't had a child by 30, then of course it's preferable to freeze your eggs in a special bank. But the only thing that scares me is the hormonal stimulation.
That's why.
Because during hormonal stimulation, various chronic diseases that might have been dormant your whole life could become active. Just like Jana Friske, she could have died from cancer, but not at 40, maybe at 70. That's a big difference, dying from cancer at 40 versus 70, right? And all these hormonal provocations, they can stimulate cancer cells. That's what scares me.
Well, yeah.
Does that scare you, by the way?
No. Well, because even if you decide to have a baby at 38, for example, and you don't have any frozen eggs, most likely you won't be able to do it naturally. And most of the time, you'll probably still have to go through that hormone therapy. To sit and produce those eggs from yourself.
To lay them.
Lay them. And kind of continue it this way. So, well, most likely it's better to do this when you're 30 and they're more successful rather than when you're 38.
I agree.
But it's better at 25?
Yes, it's better at 25. But I want twins immediately, so Sasha can freeze her eggs and we can have twins twice.
No, well, 4, really?
Yes, of course.
Well, who? Are you going to sit with them?
Yes, with pleasure, actually. With pleasure. Well, I have a bunch of nannies too. I'll just be... Kids, you have fun here. Oh, that's nice. So, Gaia, wipe your butt over there. We'll clean it up. There. Look. This Enzel pooped.
Do you have a dictionary of names?
Well, Enzel, sweetheart. That's a beautiful name. Our groom's name is Angel. That's why Enzel pooped.
Angel the second?
Enzel the second pooped. Okay.
Next question.
Yes. It's been a long time since we laughed like that together, by the way. We really laughed.
With herring under a fur coat?
Under a fur coat.